All right, everyone, welcome on in to Out and About. It is Wednesday, October 15th, and I am joined by a man who I have some history with. He's a man who stands about 6'6". He has a medieval build. Mm-hmm. He's a Falstaffian mesomorph. He's a deadbeat father.
Deadbeat.
He's an enemy to most people within these walls and most people outside of these walls.
Yep.
He's the host of Rubbin' Is Racin'. He's the former host of Barstool Breakfast.
Yes.
The former author of Take a Report.
Yes.
He's a motivational speaker.
I have been.
He's a world traveler. And he's someone that I'm proud to call my least favorite person in the office.
I was about to say,
welcome on in, Lars.
That would have been the biggest air-quoted friends in a while. I spoke with Phyllis this weekend.
You know what? You're going to talk about my mom already?
I love talking to your mom. Right to it. And
I don't know if I like
She's probably one of the most special women in the world, and I always feel bad because I know she's embarrassed of you. I mean, obviously, there's nothing about it.
It's my lifestyle.
She could be one of the sweetest people. And I just don't know you. I've met your dad a couple of times, but Phyllis and I go back and forth. I absolutely love her. And every time I meet somebody in your family, I like them better than you. It's fucking crazy.
Well, the bar is low.
Yeah. So I think that you reside around the bottom. But you and I have been probably close friends now since I first started working here.
Yeah.
I think I started in Barstool Breakfast maybe a month or two in, and that's when we started to become close. And I think we're relatively close friends, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
My kids love you. My wife loves you.
I haven't been invited over, but...
Yeah, eventually, right? It's still
you got Francis over, you have,
it's still a vetting
Za
process.
over.
No, we've had a lot of people over.
You have a lot of people over. Captain Cons, who actually hasn't left since the first time. Yeah. Since the first time he came over.
Yeah.
I'm very glad you're here, though, because you're one of my favorite people to travel with, and we've been meaning to do this for a while. When I started this show, Large was angling to come in as a co-host on the show. We were going to name it Straight and Narrow.
Yes.
So this is technically the first episode of Straight and Narrow right now.
Yeah, Straight and Narrow with Large and Patty.
It was lovely. Last week, Large and I went out to dinner in the city on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Was it a Wednesday?
I believe it was Wednesday, yeah.
We went to Emilio's Bellato, which was a fantastic restaurant in the Lower East Side. It was me, it was Large, it was Gaz, it was Devlin. I don't think I've ever laughed that hard as when we were driving home in your car and you were ripping around, just blasting out. What was it? LL Cool J radio?
I don't know. Yeah, I think
you know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But the thing is, because I'm trash, so things that make me laugh are very simple. Pumping the brakes, acceleration. I'm into motor humor.
You are.
You know, maybe a little bit of light racism might get me going.
Yeah, there's always a smattering
just
of racism.
Yeah.
We didn't just go to dinner there because a lot of people have been to dinner at Emilio's Bellato. I've never been there before.
Well, we made love there.
We made love there. Made passionate love. Apparently, there was some scandalous stuff going on too with people who have made love in that bathroom. We won't mention it on the show because I didn't vet you about that first. Oh yeah,
I have no allegiance to that place.
But we started in the Speakeasy,
yes,
around the corner, which I think a lot of people have been to also. But then they led us through the back alley, and then through the kitchen to the back room, and the back room is where I guess all the celebs go.
Like us?
And so we had gotten there. The gentleman who was our guide, Gaz's friend, wound up being a honey of a guy. I like the guy.
Oh, he's great. Yeah, he's a boozer.
Yeah. He's in there for the long haul.
He's a boozer, yeah.
He's a salesman, too, so you can tell, like, he and I were talking about, like, taking people out a lot and whatnot. I really enjoyed my time with him. So we didn't see a menu. We didn't see anything. Like, as celebs started to filter in, that guy from Queens of the Stone Age was in there, big guy, Josh
Hartnett?
No, Josh Homme, I think. And then he was there, the girl who hosts Ink Master. This isn't, I guess, A-list celebrities. But there were all these like familiar faces that I had seen. I loved it. I loved the food. I thought the vibe was very cool, extremely laid back. Ate like I lost a loved one. Got up the next morning, made it for breakfast.
Right.
Went to a movie that night, had the leftovers on fucking white bread.
Yeah.
Inside a IMAX movie.
I'm going to stop you. This is where I get worried. Because what you might not know about old Large, they say she ain't a lady if she ain't 280.
Yeah.
Large is now pushing 280, but there was a time when Large is pushing about 340.
I think my high was 326.
But who's counting?
Yeah. I got on because I remember when we were doing a weight loss contest, you weren't in it, obviously, because you're narrow ass.
Because if I lose weight, I die.
Willie, Brandon, Black Brandon.
Yeah.
His name, not mine.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the guy who, took the third mic job from me. But
yeah,
way to go, Willie.
Yeah.
Good one there.
And we all had to weigh in. I think the scale only went up to 300.
Right.
So Willie, we just had to take his word for it, right?
Willie was walking around at 408.
Yeah.
Just a little context, Large and I used to host Barstool Breakfast. I'm sure most of you know this. I produced the show. Large hosted it with Willie and Francis, and before that, this woman, JSB.
Who I never met.
Yeah, she is who she is. I decided if I was going to be mean about her.
Yeah, and I know sometimes some people have fond memories or not. I have no memories of her, but you guys had that seat that was dying to be jumped into because those guys started working for months at a time without any kind of break, yourself included. So when Francis asked me to jump in when Willie had gone to Italy, I think, with either his bride or bride-to-be at the time, I jumped in, and then I Wally pipped Francis.
Yep.
Because Willie liked me more than him.
Of course.
You liked me more than him. Everyone liked me more than Francis. So I wound up being very, very good.
But we do have, I think out of everyone here at Barstool, I'm the most comfortable probably with you and a couple other people, and because we have been doing this for a long time. Like I've been here for going on 7 years. I think you've been here for going on 7 years.
Yeah.
And I think your story it's been told on various channels here, but never on this show. So if you don't know Large's story, we'll get into it on more of a surface level. So Large had actually started a blog, worked on Wall Street for years, as he says, slept his way to the middle.
Yep.
His wife is so far out of his league.
So far.
It's not even.
Yep.
I don't even want to bring her name up because it would be disrespectful to have you both in the same sentence.
Correct.
But Large started a blog called Take a Report, which was like a viral hit before viral hits were even a thing. That led to him exiting the business.
Yeah, I got fired for it, and then as soon as I got fired for Take a Report, it was huge in the Wall Street community. To your point,
it was a raunchy, finance-based Barstool newsletter that came out in an email.
No, so it came out. So websites were just starting, blogs were just starting back then. There was no cloud, so you can't find my Take a Reports or anything like that. And I was extremely prolific. I'd go home and I'd bang out like 4 or 5 blogs in a night while I was sitting down. I had this gigantic living room. We've since downsized, but it was like this huge living room where my desk faced the TV behind this, thing of very expensive whatever. And so I used to just kind of hang out at night. Yeah, and so I'd send him out to an admin who would then, and that's what he went by, admin. He would shoot out my blogs during the day. Yes.
Interesting.
And so I'd be sitting on a desk trading. I was trading utilities for Citigroup at the time. I was a block trader, U.S. equities, not a ham and egg guy. I was the backbone of the industry.
Of course.
And so as things would come out, it would whip around. People would take it, print it out. The first time I went to a customer breakfast, and I excused myself to use the men's room before the meeting had started, and I had seen on the floor of the stalls, because again, not a lot of people had mobile platforms. No blogs did.
Your new Take a Report was a physically printed out thing?
People used to print it out off the internet and then bring it into like men's rooms alongside like the Gartman letter, which you wouldn't know what that is, but it's like this, just this sort of a newsletter for my own industry, for finance. A couple of other things that they would print out from Bloomberg stories and whatnot, and then Take a Report. Take a Report was huge. So Kevin had just dropped some clip the other day.
KFC, Kevin Clancy.
Kevin Clancy, where he was a huge fan of mine. I didn't know Kevin. I didn't know who he was, and I've never heard of Barstool at that time. And
what year was it?
Probably
2005, 6, something like that.
2008.
2008.
Yeah, so it was right as the market was turning over.
Barstool started in 2003.
Yeah, so I think in 2008 also is when Dave had asked me to come out to Boston because he wanted to talk to me. So I said, I can't have you fly me out there. I'm a managing director at a fucking bulge bracket firm. I was like, but I go up to Boston a couple times.
You have a heavy-duty finance job, and on the side, you're peddling smut?
Yeah. And so I think
Did you know it was going to end? Sorry to interrupt you. Did you know at some point it was going to end the way it did? You're like, something's got to come to a head here. I'm going to get fired and end up putting my fist through a TV screen like you did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll even back up. So I was on Wall Street for 25 years. So I was a quarter of a century on Wall Street. I got up at 4:50 every morning. I wore a suit every day. When I was on the floor, I had like the floor jacket. I was one of those guys, hand signals, bought, 5,000 CFB, the whole deal. So I was in the shit. And then I went upstairs and I was still in the shit, like I was actively trading. I had a beautiful head of hair at one point.
Yeah, you did.
And then all of a sudden it started coming out in clumps, blood in my stool, the whole fucking deal. So was I almost burnt out? Yeah, I was probably 6 months away from playing with my own shit. But I don't think Take a Report was my vehicle to get the fuck out of here. It was just like a hobby. I used to have guys, we have Jackie, lucky enough to be sitting in for the first couple of minutes. If she was to leave Barstool tomorrow for a different opportunity, I would roast her on the way out. You know, it's amazing that Jackie's doing tech now for Unwell when she can't set a fucking alarm clock. Like stupid stuff like that. I used to do that for people leaving our firm to go to bigger firms. And so when I got the opportunity,
you're just hating on them.
Just get them on the way out. And if you got fired or laid off, nothing would happen. But if you were, people were taking more money all the time. And so you were allowed to roast them on the way out because you knew that they were walking away with another pool.
Was it only you were working at Citigroup? Was it
Citi?
It was Citi. Was it only circulated within Citi?
No. So that's what I thought it was going to be. There was a guy. And again, this admin guy, did not know him. His name's Teddy. And he was a friend of one of the sales traders there. And this is like a history of the internet. Yeah. If you don't mind, we'll go down this road if you don't want to. So nobody had blogs. They were just starting. So he had said to his friend Matt, I want to be like a webmaster. So you're a big Mets fan. Can you just write something every time the Mets lose? And then he had another guy who was a big music fan. Can you just do something? And he wanted to have a bunch of them. And so then Matt's like, oh, we have a guy on our desk, Large, who seems like he's a good writer. Want me to ask him? So the guy said to me, give me $600. I'll create the skin, and then you just send me blogs, and I'll put them up, whenever you want to, and I'll just be the admin for it. And I said, cool. And anything that you get from advertisers, just keep. Like, I don't need that shit. Because again, like I couldn't have any, I couldn't have any outside money coming in because it was against Citigroup. So I would have to, do all the disclosures and whatnot.
How old were you at this time?
2008. I was 40. So I was born in 1971. So let's go back. So yeah, so it was in my 30s.
You're in your 30s, managing director at Citi. Were you?
I was a director at Citi at the time, and I'm sorry to say that I was a director at Citi at the time, which was bigger. I didn't become a managing director, I think, until I was at Canaccord.
That's the one in.
So the Canadian
SunTrust
company
was in.
SunTrust was down in Atlanta.
Were you considered at your career? Were you considered ahead of the game? Like, were you on their trajectory? Where you were fast tracked a little bit in your third? Because I have buddies who have stuck with the finance thing out of school who are my age now, 36. Mm-hmm. Some of them are VPs, some of them are senior associates, some are partners, and the pay discrepancy is huge. But the guys who do well fucking crush it. Yeah, so I will never make as much money here at Barstool as I did one of my worst years on Wall Street. What was your my trajectory was I was known as a guy who was a pretty good trader. Right. I wasn't risk averse, but I wasn't throwing up huge chunks. Like we had guys who threw up huge fucking blocks, carried huge positions, lost and made millions of dollars on the day. I was more of a ham and egg type guy to where I think one year my prop book was up $200,000. We get a prop book where we're $25 million aside. I could have. What's a prop book? There's proprietary trading and then there's institutional trading. If you came into me as an institution and said, Large, I need to sell 250 Duke Power right here, I'd be like, there's nothing around. There's like 50 bid for. And the guy's like, I need to sell 250,000 shares of Duke Power right here. And I'd be like, all right. I'd hit a bid on 50 grand and I'd print you on you 250. I'd then own 200,000 shares of your stock. Got it. And then if the stock went up, I made money. If the stock went down, I lost money. And 9 times out of 10, the stock went down. So I had to be kind of creative. So anyway, I was one of those guys, but I was never one of those guys that would do, people were printing like 30 million shares of Intel and whatnot. But one of the things that I would think I was very good at was I was great with customers. I used to go out like 2 or 3 times a week with customers. I've always been pretty personal to be around a dinner table with. And I had a corporate card, expense account and stuff, so I could do whatever the fuck I want, which is one of the reasons I'm doing all the food stuff now. It's just easy. Right. You know what I mean? I've already done this stuff. You can't bring me to a place that give me a different experience. He's the best person to go out to, and we're going to talk about some other stuff too. Large is my favorite person to go out to eat with. We can't wait for all the amazing concerts coming up this fall, but what we don't want to think about is the hassle of buying tickets. We want to focus on the music, not the cost or the stress. That is where Game time comes in. Game Time puts the power back in the hands of fans. It's your go-to hack for scoring amazing tickets and unforgettable experiences in just a few taps. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay, which is the huge thing. Other ticketing sites, the ticket price is one thing, then you go to check out, there's all these fees. It's a completely different price. It's an absolute nightmare. I was actually looking at concert tickets for Serena Carpenter, believe it or not, who I heard puts on an amazing concert. $340 at MSG. I saw it on Game Time, which is the best deal for great seats. Again, $340 for Sabrina Carpenter at MSG last minute. It doesn't get any better than that. And also, the closer you wait to the concert, a lot of times, the more prices go down. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code OUT, the letter N, out and about for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code OUTNABOUT for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. What was a good, because I think because you're far enough removed from that career now, and you might not be comfortable saying it, I hope you are. What was considered a good year for you? Like if you made a good chunk of money?
Yeah, so I think a lot of guys use the measuring stick of $1 million. I think that was that $1 million a year type thing was what they did. I never made $1 million.
You get close?
In a calendar year. I did okay. Yeah, I did. I was pretty close. So, but there are other guys, because, sometimes you had blowout years. And also when you're working for bigger companies, Pat, it was like, I think I was with JP Morgan at the time, and there was like the long-term something. There was all these excuses that your bonus went down in the Atlantic somewhere. And so you just didn't know how to explain it away because your little platform made money, but you're in such a bigger fucking company, you didn't know that the fact that Latin America had basically disintegrated was going to take away from me. But I'm telling you, when we're all over the place, the prop book stuff was a good indication of what I was. So on top of me having to trade positions for customers, if I thought something looked cheap or if I thought something looked a little bit overpriced, I could buy in short stock just so I'd prop trade it myself. It was like my own little book that I could try and make money on because I supposedly had some expertise in the sector that I was trading. I don't know if your fucking people are already tuned out, but this is just what happened.
We'll bring it full circle then. So as you're doing all this, this technical, involved, stressful, time-consuming job, you're also writing Take a Report, which ends up, fast forward however many years, ends up getting you a job here at Barstool because it seems like you had gotten fired from your job for doing Take a Report.
So I didn't come here straight from getting fired from my job. When I left Citigroup, and I say left, but when Citigroup had fired me and I went to the next place, that was the most money I ever made in a calendar year because everybody wanted to hire the Take a Report guy because he was so fucking popular.
How much money?
So Kevin had told the story last week about how he was a follower of mine. I think I was on vacation or something. So he had sent something to the admin, and the admin put him up on one of my sites. And he did, 100 times more views than he ever did on
Kevin Clancy.
Kevin Clancy.
Yeah.
He had like a little website, like For Sure Not or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I've never seen it. So he was able to do that. And he was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I guess he never forgot that. So that's why when he had found out I had a layoff, because Wall Street has layoffs all the time. So I went from Citigroup to ICAP. I went from ICAP to SunTrust. I went from SunTrust to Canaccord Genuity. I went from Canaccord Genuity to Barstool. And so when they came knocking to me, Kevin's like, why don't you come in? I was on a layoff where I could have went back to a same job in a different place easily. I had 2 other offers. And then I came in, I did this. And again, like I said, for a very low percentage of what I was making. And I was very blessed. I was very, very lucky for what the fuck I was making. And Annie was pulling in a nice...
Annie was working when you first started here?
Yeah, so Annie has been working on the floor of the stock exchange since she was 13 years old. My wife. She should be doing this fucking show because you like her better than me.
Of course.
Yeah. So Annie's dad I was banging the boss's daughter. I say that all the time. Annie's dad, the guy that I write the 9/11 blog about. So Annie's dad tried to make her go to college. He had gotten her, set up and all that, drove her down to like Georgia to go to school and dropped her off. Had like a TV, a couch, all the things you do for people. And as soon as he left to drive home, and he pawned all the stuff that he had given her, and she bought herself a first-class ticket and beat him home.
Cool.
So she never went to college. So he was like, fine, you're going to stay down on the floor. So then when I started on the floor, I just gotten out of a relationship. I see this beautiful little redhead. She's bagging when I'm raking. We spoke about this on Fishbowl one time. Annie aggressively pursued me.
Really?
Oh, I was hot as balls, I guess.
Well, no, she was drinking at the time,
she
right?
Was, yeah.
She was deep. No, she was on the pipe, as Charlie Sheen says.
Yeah. So she, and then when I was on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, she outranked me. She was a broker. She was the 80th woman to ever sign the book. So thousands of guys have signed the book to become members of the New York Stock Exchange. I think one of the first people who signed it was Alexander Hamilton. Ever heard of him? And then one of the other people who signed it was my wife, Annie. And she was only the 80th, I think, woman to sign it. So her kung fu is strong. I respect
very
her.
bright.
Yeah. And great rack and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she does. She has great tits.
She
Does Annie more have... I don't know if they're more sweater puppies
I don't
or
know.
are they tits.
Yeah, the monsters.
They're flapjacks. You want to keep going down this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay stopping if
you're all right. Your kids are gonna listen to this, right?
So I come in, I do one fucking day with Kevin and fights. So Kevin's the reason that I'm here, 100%. Probably should put him on that list the other day. I did a KFC radio episode, myself, fights, and Kevin. And then I did a Barstool radio, because one of the shows was called Barstool Radio, with myself, Kevin, and Riggs on the mic for Sirius.
So if you're a little bit newer here, we used to have 12 hours of live radio programming on Sirius XM Monday through Friday, and then they'd run it back from 6 to 6 or whatever the programming was. And before that, we did a test run called Barstool Radio, which was Dave, Coley, Mick, Jared Carabas, and who else? Riggs, I think.
Riggs. Yeah, Riggs
and then Kevin would kind of rotate in and do his thing. So when you were originally brought on, I'm sure they probably brought you on to do some sort. That was like your test, and then you were signed on to do what? Just to blog?
So Dave took me into his office, and again, like when I met Dave in 2008, it was pre hair plugs,
right?
Pre weight loss. Pre-glow up, like he was going around in a minivan.
Yeah, the Astro van.
Yeah, bringing like those print things almost to see where like the local DJs were playing. Talk about a fucking hustler.
Right.
So he brings me to an Irish bar and I asked Dave
what
about
was the name?
this.
Do you remember the name of the bar?
It was Filthy
It was in
McSwiggins
Boston?
or something like that. Yeah.
Ugh.
The girls were
fucking
in like
City, what's it, City Limit or whatever it was? I can't remember.
And the girls
Now
were
you gotta
all in
look it up.
Catholic schoolgirl outfits serving us. And I can tell you right now, ask Dave about it, and he'll say he has no recollection, which is wild. But it's still cool. So he offered me a job back then. I politely declined. When I came back and I did that thing with Kevin.
Do you remember what the original offer was from Dave in 2008?
I was going to be Barstool, New York. There was no number thrown in front of me, but he was going to try and do Barstool, New York, Barstool, Miami, Barstool, Philly, and Barstool, Boston. I think he was going to do like an East Coast thing.
Yeah.
And people can correct me if that's wrong. I really don't give a shit. So I politely passed on it. Honestly, I thought it was very cool for him to bring me up. And, it wasn't overly impressive at that time.
You go, I'm sorry, how much?
Yeah, fast forward 10 years, the Chernin deal had already gone through. So this was no longer Dave's House of Blogs. It had like benefits. It had a CEO, Erica. And it had like people, it seemed like a real company.
Me.
At you. So when he offered me a job, he was like, yeah, come on, right? We'll throw you this, which I think was more than what he would probably throw like a regular blogger sight unseen. So I was like, Annie, let's do it for a year. She's like, do it for a year. I think you should. And so I did. And then
now here we are. How many years later?
almost 7 years later. And so I was hired to blog. I got on the radio right away. The blogs did well. Then I just started doing, I picked up the boxing. That became very profitable for us for a couple of years. And now it's kind of off and on. I did the Twisted History. I did a lot of shit here, to be honest with you. And
you have done a lot. I remember when you first came in, I think I was still part-time at the time.
You were dying to get out of production.
I wasn't I think it's just the schedule that we had with production was difficult for me for the amount of money I was making. I was like, this is fucking...
Especially morning show.
This is tough. But I remember the company was small when you first came on. What was your first impression, if you remember, of me? I don't even really remember meeting...
Yeah,
I remember saying you are large... And I remember you had this aura about you. You were aura maxing everywhere you went.
Yeah,
you were a vibe god.
Yep, I was a vibe god. A lot of people thought that I was an undercover cop. I remember people used to ditch their vape pens when I came in. I think my first time I was here to talk to Erica, I came in a sports coat.
Yes.
And meanwhile, I took my suit off. I was like,
yeah.
I'm not going to be a stuffy guy in a suit. Let me go sports coat, the whole deal. And now seeing Dave in a sports coat with the glow up, it's just... regular commonplace thing. I was the only person who's ever been in that office, in slacks and a sports coat.
All right, we're taking a quick break from our interview with Lodge to talk to you about Kraken. We talk to you about it every week because we love it. And if you're going to trade crypto, do it right. No sketchy platforms, no sketchier customer support. That's why we trust Kraken. Kraken lets you buy, sell, and swap over 300 cryptos without the lag, crashes, or clownery. And if you're buying crypto manually, don't. That's old school. Recurring buys lets you automate your investments so you stack sats without even thinking about it. DCA done right. Buy more when prices dip and less when they spike. And you can link your bank account in minutes, so you set it, forget it, and let your portfolio grow. It really is that easy with Kraken. Also, they have Kraken Pay. It's instant crypto payments, so no more excuses for your friends, whether you're covering a lost bet, splitting a tab after a night out, or sending funds for the next wild adventure. Kraken Pay lets you move money instantly, keyword instantly, with zero fees and no banks holding things up. And if you refer your friends, Kraken is going to hook you guys up with $200 in USDG just for spreading the love. So quit waiting. Head to kraken.com/barstool. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss and is offered to U.S. customers, excluding Washington, New York, and Maine through Payward Interactive Inc. Kraken, give it a try.
But yeah, I think like in retrospect now, you talk to people in and around the office and they were like, I didn't want to speak to him at first. And now I'm sort of, and I don't mean to overstep my boundaries, I'm kind of the cool uncle.
You're unk.
Yeah, I'm
you're
unk.
Not chopped.
I'm not chopped at all. Yeah, I'm nobody's op. But yeah, so I think I'm sort of like the cool uncle, and I dig that. Like I think that's a good lane for me to be in, because when I was first hired, they thought I was going to bring in that older demographic. But even from Wall Street's changed. It sucks now. So for people to hear about me going out with cocaine, unlimited fucking expense accounts and stuff like that, they wanted to fucking hear about that. So it was like a younger demographic that came in too, and it's just the finance stuff. It's always been difficult to get off the ground here because of compliance. Dave seems to get around it no problem. He just says, I don't know what I'm saying, so I'm going to buy 1 million shares of fucking this, which is awesome to have that fucking freedom.
Because you had a show with Dave, Davey Day Trader, with Large for a minute.
Yeah, right? when the pandemic first came down, Pick Central shut down because sports did. So Dave's like, I'm going to fill Pick Central slot for an hour and a half every day with me and Large. We're going to do Stock Central. I did it with him for, I don't know, better part of a month. And then when sports started to come back, Dave just went off on his own to do Davey Day Trader. And it was almost ruinous for me because he walked off the show one day because he had lost money while I was talking. And I think he blamed me. Not because I was talking, but I think he might have called me a jinx or something like that. I was like, that'll follow you around. Right. But yeah, I'm the one who taught Dave how to use the online trading platform. Yeah, I was the beginning of Davey Day Trader.
It's so crazy to think how much things have changed here. Even just for people who are listening to this podcast, from when this started with me and Kate to then to me and Joey to now me and a guest host every week, how much things have changed. What do you think the biggest difference is now for the people that we hire at Barstool versus people, say, 6-7 years ago, in terms of, like, what do you think the company is looking for?
Yeah, so I think the company is much more social media presence forward. They want people, like, I don't know if the company had always been that way, maybe, but it seemed when I first started, a lot of people were building their presences, as opposed to hiring somebody not only on the fact that they have a huge social media following. I'll use KB as an example. Right. When KB was hired, obviously I didn't follow Kyle before that. I love him.
Oh, he's great.
I think he's one of the more intelligent, funny guys that we have here. KB is a fucking closet genius. Not even a closet genius. I think a lot of people know about it. And I kind of feel the same way about Nick, too. Those two guys together, I'd hate to be growing up in West Virginia because they would have fucking picked me apart. But KB, when he came here, I think he had like a huge social media following. And so I was like, why the fuck did we bring him on? Like, was it just for that? And he wound up fitting in and doing so many other things. But then we started to just concentrate on that. So we've had a couple of people come and go, because their social media following didn't necessarily get any bigger once they got here. I did something with Hannah Montoya the other day. She was on You Got to Try This. And she's a girl in Chicago. She also has a huge following.
She's got like 7 million on TikTok or some shit.
But I got to be honest, I think she's a fucking superstar.
Oh,
I love her.
Great.
Yeah, I think that she's great. So I think Barstool plays that game a little bit more so now than they used to. They try to find people who are somewhat more established instead of just building them from the absolute ground up, which is what they did with me. I had 117 followers collectively on social media when I started here. I think I had 117.
Yeah.
117. And now I have,
But I think I think when you look at people who are hired now, I think maybe even 3 or 4 years ago, people would be hired in just for social who have never had a real job. And the attitude was, you've never worked a real job.
Yeah.
Almost like, fuck you, you didn't put in your time. Now, the attitude has switched where it's, at least from my perspective and a lot of other people here, who cares if they didn't have a real job and they didn't put in their time, as long as they're successful in what they do. Because I'm of the belief here at Barstool that a rising tide lifts all ships.
Me too.
Someone here is crushing it, by all means, let them crush it. Do you wish, like, what would your advice be to someone who's young, who's starting at Barstool, who has never had another job? Because the advice can't be come in at 8 and leave at 5, because that just doesn't apply.
The advice can also be what your traditional advice would have been in corporate America, because I think sometimes all I wanted to do was impress management.
Right.
My whole Wall Street career. And flying under the radar sometimes here actually works out to people's benefit more so than it doesn't. And that's so foreign to me. Like, I wanted to be, hey, by the way, look, I had this trade yesterday, I had this trade yesterday. I don't speak to Dave that often. I don't, just because we don't cross paths that often. And I think that's a good thing for the first time in my career. I think it's a good thing. I mean, sometimes you do feel like you're in the dark on whether or not you're doing a good job versus not doing a good job. But I also get the feeling if you weren't doing a good job, that puts you in the crosshairs more than doing one. You know what I mean? It's the exact antithesis of what I was used to, my whole life leading up to this. So I would say now for people who work here who've never had a real job, I don't think that there's anything special for them to do except to be fearless, be creative, dance like no one's watching, all that bullshit. But don't get used to this, man. Don't, because this is going to come to an end, and then that's when the shit's going to get hard. Like, I feel.
What do you mean this is going to come to an end? You think the company?
Barstool, there's no way that because these kids are so young. Like, I did 25 years, right, on the street?
Yep.
And Wall Street's still there and will always be there. I don't know if you could do 25 years here and expect your kids then to jump into this industry or anything like that. Like, this does have a finite nature to it. And maybe that finite nature is the day that Dave dies. I don't know. But, there is a better chance than not that you're not going to finish your career at Barstool. If you're a 22-year-old kid coming in, you're going to do something else. But I'm a perfect example. I thought that I was going to be a specialist on the floor of the American Stock Exchange. Didn't want to do anything else. This was 2 weeks into my career there. I'm like, Mom, I'm not going to law school. I'm going to do this, so the whole deal. Then I was convinced I was going to be on the floor of New York. Then I thought I was going to trade at Citi. And then you see all those places that I went. So I'm practicing what I preach. There's no guarantee except for maybe guys like Dan, who can stay here for as long as he wants or keep it going underneath some banner. But that will leave a lot of people out there working someplace that has nothing to do with what you're doing now. You're not going to be able to sit down and get paid to watch Cleveland Cavalier games. You know what I mean? Or whatever the fuck it is. Honestly, and it is
crazy to think it's basically just up to, if Dave wants to stop, it's done. But what does the next 10 years look like? I'm of the belief that I think the machine is going and the machine is formed here at Barstool. I think Barstool will continue to exist for a long time.
I hope so.
I do too. I don't want to go anywhere else. But I think that it may downsize eventually. Mm-hmm. Is that a crazy thing to say?
It won't exist like it exists now in 5 years.
Right.
And I don't think Dave's plan was for it to exist like it exists now in 5 years. Because it doesn't look like it looked 5 years ago or 5 years ago before that, or certainly 5 years ago before that. So this thing is changing. One of the things that's good for people here is that I believe in my heart that on whatever people think about Dave, and I don't really care what people think about Dave, he's extremely generous. particularly to people that he feels is in his corner.
Right.
Like, I didn't advertise one year for Black Friday.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
and I was like,
remember.
It was the day after, day after Thanksgiving. I put out a couple of things in the morning. Then I didn't do anything while I was working at a fucking soup kitchen.
Yeah.
By the way, we used to donate our time every year afterwards. And I got lumped in with maybe 6 other people who didn't do it. Every one of those other people except for me are no longer with the company.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean,
Who was it? Do you remember?
Jared.
Yeah, Carabas.
YP. Willie. Myself. And 2 other people who weren't important enough for me to remember.
Yep.
But nobody is here. And I'm not saying Jared got fired because of that. I'm not saying YP or anybody had. But it just... And I had said to him like a year later, are we good? He's like, yeah, we're back and we're good. I think it took him a year to like sort of not put my name on a small champagne bottle. He wouldn't have wasted a big champagne bottle on me, but it was one of those things. So I think that if there is a certain degree of being in his corner, I think he takes care of his people. Like he said, I buy fatzos and houses and horses and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If you're portly and you want a job and you're kind of funny, this is the place for you.
Yeah.
He had one of the funniest lines. He goes, when I go big, I go big. And he was looking at Barstool Beef.
Yeah.
He goes, when I go big, I go big.
Barstool Beef's a big guy.
Oh my God, he's fucking huge.
And I will tell you right now.
I'm surprised he can grip the club. No, there's no offense to Beef. I'm sure he knows it. How do you even grip the club around your fucking gut?
I've watched him play, man. And
he's an unbelievable golfer. He strokes it.
Swing, and I will tell you right now, one of the better humans that we have at this fucking company. That guy,
Who's your least favorite human here?
It's the easy answer is Nate, and I love busting Nate's balls. I do, but I actually have a good relationship with Nate.
But you hate him.
Yeah. No, but somewhere I spoke with this with Rone. Somewhere along the line, Nate's done something that made you hate him for a week,
of course,
or 2 weeks. And so I think I could do a whole fucking series on just when you entered the Natrix, the Hatrix, or whatever the fuck it is.
The Natrix.
And but me and Nate speak all the time. I actually like him. As far as not liking people here, I don't give a fuck about anybody here. Like enough that I like them or don't like them, and nobody really fucks with me. Everyone's relatively.
You got your own studio now.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
One of the things Dave said when he hired me is like, Large, I give 10% of my stuff to this, 10% of my stuff to this. You know, so that.
What do you mean?
So he's like, I do the rundown. I do this project.
Oh, 10% of his time.
Yeah, I do pizza reviews. He's like, I'm running out of 10%. If I hire you, it's one of those things like, I'd love for you to like do stuff on your own. That's what he said to me in his office. And that's what I've tried to do. I've never had Dave really on any piece of content that I've done unless it made like a tremendous amount. He's never been on Twisted History. He's never been on Barstool Breakfast with us, except for maybe once or twice, just like to comment on something real quick. He's never been in Rubbin unless it was one of those things where we were going to Miami.
Yeah.
You know, and when he's on, it's a fucking blessing. Would I love to have him come up and do North Shore Beefs with me for You Got to Try This? That's when I think I'd break my cherry and ask him to do something with me.
Because he loves those. 3 times, so big deal.
Oh, has he been on this much? Yeah. But I mean, I think
I think that's used to rip it.
I think it's one of those things where that's a benefit for me too. I'm not a drag on the guy who writes the checks.
Of course not. And I think that's what, like, there's some people here who do shows who have just stopped doing their shows because it made them anxious or because they didn't like the outcome or because whatever. I think that's the biggest difference between people who are like a young, not to sound like an old man, a younger generation and new people. I'm not going to there have been times where I've wanted to stop doing this show for whatever reason. Co-host leaves, break a leg, have major surgery, whatever. You hobble in and you do it and you have a little fucking grit. And I think that's the difference between younger generations here at Barstool and older. But I also think they have so much more of an understanding and a grip on the internet that we have.
I know.
That when they do have a little bit of success, like at least our idea of success comes from hard work. I feel like younger kids who work here, their idea of success, it's much more focused in on making this one video, doing this one thing, where we're more, okay, let's fucking beat The Rock for a year and eventually success will come. And I feel like that's the biggest difference. And the nice thing about here is that Dave no matter what your style is for finding success, Dave will let you beat that rock and continue to find it. And he'll give you a long enough leash where that you can kind of figure out if things work on your own or if things don't work on your own. Because I've worked in real jobs where I've had to go in and work for a manager that I hate or whatever, and it's been fucking hell.
Yeah. And I think too, if you want to know one of the differences, I think too we're at a point now where a lot of people who have shows like this, like any of my shows or anything like that, are more concerned with making a good clip every week than having a good show every week.
Right.
So you'll see somebody be like, "Oh, I just did this. This is great. Let's talk." I'll be like, "Cool, now do 99 more." Like, do one every fucking week or every morning or something like that. And I think that's where, because clips can only bring you so far.
Right.
If no one is tuning in or anything like that, I've had to walk away from projects where no one was tuning in and whatnot, and it breaks your heart when you put all your fucking
of course,
all your creativity out there. You throw it out, and if it gets pushed back at you, hey, you piece of shit, it does break your heart. So people definitely need to be fearless, but they also have to be very fucking consistent.
Yeah, I think consistency is key, and one of the things that we've done consistently since we've been at Barstool is we've traveled together.
Yes,
you
and I
have
traveled
been to
too
large as the
fucking
NASCAR
much.
show. We have been to Bristol, Tennessee. We have been to Talladega. We've been to Daytona. We've been to where else have we been?
I don't know,
Day
but
trips
we've
all over the
we've
place.
also done stuff because there's that. It used to be Bud Light.
Yes.
And now it's High Noon.
Yes.
And we used to do those together.
I still do them.
Yeah,
I actually got to talk to the Kappas and the Pikes because they're having issues before I get down to UNLV this week.
Okay.
I got to smooth that over because you cannot have those Kappas going after them in their own house.
First time that I ever went on a trip with Patty, we went down to University of Florida in Gainesville.
That's right, baby. Chomp chomp.
And we went to a bar, and we're there, and it was like Kevin fights me and Patty and I. And me, whatever. And some gay guy comes up to you in the middle of the thing and stopped you and was just like, "Listen, I thought it was pretty cool." He's like, "I just want you to know I'm a fan of yours and stuff like that. We are so underrepresented in traditional sports media."
And that was Feidelberg.
But the dude was like fucking. I just thought it stayed with me. Do you remember that, right?
Of course.
Yeah, it was in the thing, and the guy was like, it's not like I don't have, obviously the representation for gay guys, gay men and women, for homosexual, whatever the fuck you want to say, in TV now is so great. But back then, if you had like a gay co-host, it was always on something other than something that looked like Barstool.
Right.
And again, that's where Dave kind of shines too.
Yeah.
Like, and so the guy was like, it just means a lot that everybody here watches and consumes Barstool, and I don't feel on the outside looking in.
Right.
The guy was like very whatever.
Yeah.
And for a guy, you just found him on Grindr.
Right, and we fornicated shortly thereafter. We went into the men's room. There was actually a hole drilled.
I thought, yes, exactly. And I thought, I don't know, I just thought that was cool. So when that was the first time that I did that
you
with
had
you.
a semblance of respect for
for gay guys, yeah.
It's crazy though, because I don't even give a fuck. Like when I first started, I was like, "Oh, I gotta do this to get a voice." Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck, man. I feel like shit has changed so much.
I don't think you need to have a voice anymore.
I hate when people put that on. Like, not that you just did. I hate when people put that on me.
Yeah,
you're the gay man in sports. Like, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. And for years, I thought that I had to cater my content to be a certain way. And now I'm finally like, okay, just do what you want to do. Because if you're happy on camera and having a good time, that's going to be more transparent and going to put out better content than if you're fucking, running around in a dress, which I do like to do, but it's in the comfort of my own home.
Right. Or with Joe. Like when you had somebody who was on that side of the spectrum, and I call it a spectrum because it is a disease, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
so you have Joey.
In the eyes of Christ, it's a disease.
On that side of the spectrum, then I mean, you always felt comfortable doing as much as that, and then on the other side, it was just you, whatever you felt. Like Willie didn't believe you were gay.
Yeah,
and you guys worked together for years.
4 years here, where people just being like, are you really? I was like, okay, well, now I'm kind of fucking pigeonholed here, dumbass.
But it's one of those things where I think also it got you a couple of opportunities to start. You know what I mean? Because it checks a box, almost like a DEI type thing.
Right.
And I don't know, there's just the way that you took it and ran with it on both sides of the spectrum, doing something that was, just overtly for the gay community, mainly for the gay community.
Women, men, gays.
To doing something like you wear many hats and you do it very well. That's why I think that I respect you.
I think I'm at the point now where what I've learned is that, and I think this can be applied to any job, and one of the things I struggled with when I first started here at Barstool was I wanted to be doing something other than what I was doing without having been good at what I was assigned to do. Right. And I remember, I actually shout out Erica. I remember she had a conversation with me. I was making nothing at the time, and I was like, I need a little more money and health insurance for when I inevitably break a bone, which I apparently do every year. Mm-hmm. And she was like, no. She's like, you're not a good producer. you don't do this, you don't do this. And I was like, whoa, that was the first time someone had
Really?
sat me down and been like, you kind of suck at this. But that changed my outlook. That changed the way that I thought of doing my job. I was like, okay, you need to be good at what you're doing now in order to be able to do what you want to do. So this is the last episode of Out and About.
Yeah, 100%.
About. I don't know, but it was interesting. But back to the travel stuff.
So Patty and I go places.
Right.
Our most recent trip was to
The Eagle on 28th and 10th.
the Eagle on 28th and 10th.
We were
Yeah,
at
the
Goon-
Rusty
we were-
Knot.
we were at the
Yes,
Goon-
yeah, we're at the
No, we
Rusty
were in
Knot.
Talladega. Roan.com, he did a list on people. It's like the people you like the cut of their jib, people you like here at Barstool. So I figured what Large and I would do would be people that we like to travel with.
Yes.
Easiest people and best people to travel with here at Barstool Sports. I can rifle off my list, or we can just go back and forth.
You go
if
back
want.
and forth.
Okay, I have 5 written down. I don't know if you have more or not.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go with the number 5 person who's the best person to travel with here. I'm going to go with Kelly Keegs.
Okay.
We're the
so
same age?
when I say okay, I don't know if I had Kelly on my list.
Okay.
But now that I'm thinking about it, I went to Sonoma with Kelly, and I had a lovely time. And
Yeah.
I'd like to go back there with her. She was on my list of cut of jib as having the best voice in Barstool.
She does have a beautiful voice.
Kelly in headphones is special, I think.
Yeah.
And so I have no problem. But Kelly Keegs, I can definitely see on your list. I think that's a good
Keys
one.
is good. I think it was like her and Spider. Very easy to get along
Yes.
with. They're self-contained. You don't have to worry about them. They're petite, so their heft
Correct.
is not going to get in the way and bother you on a
If
flight.
they're middle
you're stuck-
seat, I'm going to get the fucking armrest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those were 2 for me that I thought were great. I'm actually just going to list them off. Mary Beth, I think. Is
MB, yeah,
unbelievable.
MB, especially with NASCAR. And one of the things about MB too is that she goes a little above and beyond finding things for Stu outside of it.
Yeah.
So if there's like a NASCAR VIP party, she'll be like, "Let's grab a table at that." To network and stuff on top.
And she's
like,
got the corporate card.
and she's got the corporate card. Yeah, yeah.
You go with MB, you're not
Yeah.
going to be like sweating out if
Right.
you can expense your fucking Subway sandwich or not.
I didn't even think about the 3rd floor, but I think I probably travel with MB more than anybody
MB's the
outside
best.
of Spider.
You know what I love MB? Because she doesn't take shit from anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like if she says something to you in a meeting and then you follow up with an email with a question that was covered in a meeting.
Oh, forget
She'll
it.
go, once again, as we mentioned
Yeah.
in the meeting.
Yeah.
She's the best. Glennie Balls when he was here.
Glennie was fun.
That's another one. I want to travel with people who if you go out and you go to a bar with this person, you can leave them alone and not worry about them getting too shit-faced to get home,
Right.
not worry about them embarrassing you, not worrying about, did they eat, did they do this? You want someone who's an adult, who's fun, who's easy to travel with, and who's low maintenance. Number 2 on my list was Large. You check all of those boxes.
Yes.
I would like to see a little more physical room when we're in the car together.
Right.
And then it was the same thing with Za. So it was Spider Keegs, MB, Glennie, you, and Za. All people that if you go out with them, you don't ever have to worry about babysitting them. That's the worst fucking thing in the world to do if you're traveling with an adult, feeling like you have to babysit someone. I can't stand it.
I used to work with a guy, I won't use his name, as soon as we get off the plane, wherever we were traveling to visit customers, he must have had a girlfriend in every port.
Oh.
So we landed in Boston. You know how when you get off a plane, everybody makes a left turn to go to baggage claim, Uber, car rental, all that. Everyone
Of course,
goes.
yeah.
This gentleman would make a right and go to the last gate where I think somebody picked him up on the tarmac and brought him to his girlfriend's house. He would use a bathroom all the way at the other till everyone he was traveling with gone, and then he'd go to the dark side. And then he'd show up at dinner. But we'd land at 2:00 in the afternoon. All right, 6:30, we got to go to such and such steakhouse. He'd be there with bells on and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure he just got his dick sucked somewhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I thought that he was a perfect travel mate because he wasn't like,
You can occupy yourself.
yeah, what are we doing? I'm going to go for a hike. You want to go for a hike? You want to go do this, do that? I think sometimes because there are some trips when you're traveling outside of whatever you need to do to check the boxes business-wise, maybe you would just want to be in the room for a day.
That's the best part of traveling is
Yeah.
not feel. I don't want to feel like I have to participate in your activity.
Yeah.
And I also don't want someone who complains. We had the first class list here, which got leaked. There was a group
Yeah.
of people who can
I
fly.
was not on it.
I was not on it. Who can fly first class at Barstool. And shock, Dave got a hold of it and he just blew up the list. Francis is
yeah.
off. It was hilarious. But everyone on that list is easy to travel with, and you don't need to worry about occupying them. They're adults. Now, on the other hand, there are people here who you do feel like you need to kind of babysit, and you kind of need to make sure things are okay. People who may not be as comfortable being alone in a strange environment.
Yeah.
People who are going to rope you into their drunken night. People who can't really hold their liquor.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your maybe top 5 to travel with here if you have a top 5?
I will tell you one of my top 5, and I won't go in any particular order. One of them is Eddie at Barstool.
Eddie's the best.
Eddie's the type of guy where if you say to him, by the way, Eddie, I found a place that does something different, whether it be a drink or a meal or something like that, he'd be down to fuck. But if you're like, listen,
we can do that.
Listen, Large, I didn't come out here to run a marathon.
I just want a beef, Large. That's really all I want. I got a new Cadillac and big car guy, Eddie.
He went. He drives a Caddy now. I think he was Tesla beforehand.
Yeah, I was like, you drive this car?
Yeah.
And he's got like what's it, like a Lyric, a Cadillac Lyric,
something like that.
Thing's fucking sweet.
It's a rocket ship.
Oh,
I was in it with him.
So
it's a
fast.
Rocket ship.
He told me how much he pays for this thing every month. I go, Eddie, what are you doing, Eddie?
I've been to Eddie's house.
Have you?
Yeah.
What's Eddie's house like?
So Eddie's house.
Now we're cooking. Here we go.
So Eddie's house is in like a Chicago neighborhood that he grew up in. I think his parents are very close by, the whole deal. He's got like this cool house where he's building this man cave with a poker table and a couple of things up top. He's got his old fucking, on top of the Caddy, he's got like an old Eldorado Barritz in the fucking garage that he's redoing. You remember the Cadillac Eldorado Barritz like back in the fucking day? No, it was, what the fuck? Yeah, look up the Eldorado Barritz. I think it's an Eldorado Barritz. It's one of those ones where I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful
like a car from Goodfellas.
Yeah, it's a squared off Italian car, and Eddie's got one. I think it's got ox blood interior. Jesus. You don't see that shit anymore.
Eddie's the most Chicago
I love Eddie.
Guy. I have a couple friends who live. One of my best friends, Lloyd, he bought a house if you're in the Boston show, Boston live show, Lloyd's the guy who I had come on stage and kept chugging beers, and then his wife was looking at me like, I'm going to kill you, he kept doing it. He moved about 2 streets down from his parents' house, and then he ended up moving 1 street closer.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's how you know it's a good guy who sticks around his parents.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Like, I don't even know, when I'm talking about people that I like, you naturally want to protect them. So I don't have anything that I can say bad about Eddie's house. Like sometimes you would say about my house. He
got handsy with his girlfriend that one time.
Did he? I remember that. I'd seen the mugshot.
Right.
But it's perfect for Eddie. Like it's like I sat down there. I could have sat down and he would have made me, like sometimes you walk into people's houses and even if they're beautiful or not beautiful or something, Eddie's the type of house where he'd be like, can I make you a quick sandwich? I'd be like, yes. Fucking yes.
Quick Italian if he's beef large?
You got snowed in. Where are you going to, do you have the hotel? Do you want to stay here? Yes. I would stay here. I got a
blanket for you.
Yeah. So that's the type of guy that you want to travel with. I think and Eddie's a big guy. I'm a big guy. So that's not ideal.
But I'm okay with traveling with big if you know the big.
Yeah.
Like if I'm sitting there and I'm sweating out and you're watching, say you're in the window, someone's on an aisle, and there's a middle seat between you, and the plane starts to fill up, and you see people coming down the aisle, and it's just you want to shoot daggers at them because you don't want them to feel comfortable enough to sit next to you. Yeah. That is a stress that I can only imagine is similar to being on the front lines of a war.
Right.
Just that level of anxiety. But if I see you or an Eddie coming, it's... I look for.
But sometimes I think like one thing it was like me, Coach. Hey, what's up, man? I think it was me and
Great
Coach.
Guy to travel with.
Yeah, Coach Doug's.
Yeah.
We got on a plane to go somewhere. I think it was Coach. Yeah. And we were both like, it was raining.
Like he coaches, I think.
And I think we were in 11A and C. And I was like, we walked in, we were still soaking wet.
Right.
And 11B was just fucking miserable when they saw us coming walking down. But Eddie's not like that. But before I move on, you had said who I least want to travel with. Number 1 with the bullet is Frank the Tank when the Mets are losing.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he's listening to it on his fucking thing, and he's got no restraint. So you could be in the Vatican, or you could be in fucking Shea Stadium or Citi Field or whatever. Frank's the same exact way. So much so when we were traveling for Rough and Rowdy, I was like, Frank, you got to... I'd drive 3 hours from Cincinnati to someplace in West Virginia while I was listening to I had to just pump up the music and stuff because he's so... And I don't have that in my bag. I don't give a fuck.
But on the contrary, Frank, you don't have to worry about Frank.
No,
Frank
not at all.
Frank has his interests. Frank has traveled enough that... he's not nervous when he's traveling. He's just going to do his own thing. But
I want to be very granular about that. Frank, when the Mets are losing, is the guy I least want to travel with. And I've done it on a couple of occasions. That's why I'm saying that. Otherwise, I got zero problems. Me and Frank the Tank are relatively close.
You have Eddie as a guy you'd like to travel with.
Yes.
Very easy to travel with. I can't get over the car that he drives. Unbelievable.
It's awesome.
It's an unbelievable car. Who else we got? Give me a couple who you want to travel with. Other than me. You scared me to travel with you. Back when you were drinking and it was traveling and I knew I was going to have to suck down a couple vodkas pre-flight.
Yeah.
Those were some scary airport days.
I don't know if enough people know him, but Devlin's always DTF on whatever the fuck you want to do when you travel. When we travel, he's he's one of those guys.
He's got a bad attitude, which I like.
By the way, you and him going back and forth about sisters.
Yeah.
So people who don't know, Patty and Devlin have had sex with each other's sister,
yes.
And they constantly talk about how filthy they are. No, I think he goes right to your mom or something like that.
Devlin's a disgusting person.
But you always start it.
Yeah.
So as soon as somebody goes, man, there's a giant hole in this menu. Oh, there's a giant hole in Devlin's sister too. There's nothing that's all bait. Devlin's a lot of fun.
Devlin's great to travel with. Eddie's great to travel with. My list. I mean, what about like
I don't have you on my list because you broke that Mexican girl's nose once.
Correct.
With the Bud Light can that you had thrown overhand at her. No, you're
overserved.
definitely on my list. We've gone to too many fucking places together.
Who else? What about like you travel a lot with Spider? Here's the thing about Spider. Spider gets into these moods where you can't tell if he's doing a character or not, and he can be a little bit unhinged and a little bit obnoxious when he travels. He's like a fucking gnat, and I like Spider if he's in a good mood. But if he gets into this like, just kind of feisty mood, then I want nothing to do with him.
I think
he tests the limits.
When Spider is on the setup end of setting up travel, he does for guys like Dan and Dave and whatnot. And when he does it perfectly. Right. And he takes a lot of pride in doing it perfectly. And so I think if he's traveling and things aren't to that standard of what he's done for these guys, then I can see what you're saying, that he would get pissy about it.
He doesn't like things going wrong.
But he and I are on such an even playing field, like we go through everything together as co-hosts and whatnot. And I think with the age difference too, I think I have sort of an uncle-y type feel with Spider. So I've never had any kind of... You always get disappointed with your co-hosts when they do something wrong to a degree.
Right. Oh,
but I don't... like I'm sure there are times you're like, I fucking hate Large, because I know I've said it about you. But with Spider, he's very, very easygoing. Very easy. And another guy who's not haunting your house. What are we doing tomorrow morning? What are we... Like, if it's one of those things where it's like, I'll see you when I see you, then... That's fucking...
The worst part about traveling with someone is if they want to just continue to push the night when the night is over. Yeah. Let the night fucking die. If someone is tired...
Your co-host was one of those.
Before Joey turned into the biggest diva on the planet, he was great to travel with. Then he got into this thing where he was just a fucking... Everything was wrong and this constant complaining, and you'd want to go to bed, and he'd be like, well... What do you mean? We're just going to get the night going. It's like, no. We've been drinking all day. I don't need to suck down a bottle of, Tito's by the pool.
If you guys ever go to a NASCAR race, it's a long fucking day. And we spend our day in pit row. So we have a beautiful suite all the time. There's a lot of walking. I mean, like sometimes Frank won't go to a track with us if there's a lot of uphill walking because of his legs or whatever. But Joey, holy cow. And then on the end, I just want some vapes and I want some vodka and I want some music. I'm like, Joey,
once he got tuned up, then he'd calm down. You have to remind him, like, no, this is a work trip.
Yeah. But I mean, and then... what the fuck was the name of the girl?
Fights is easy to travel with.
Fights is wonderful. I don't travel with Kevin that often.
I don't either. I traveled with him once to Daytona, where I was also, talking about white trash, I was at a NASCAR event in camouflage overalls and a broken shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, that was peak.
Yeah.
Also, you know what's very white trash? We talk about a lot on this show? Limping.
Limping is very white trash.
When I had a limp and I was walking around, which I'm fighting to get rid of now, I was like, oh, you're trash.
Yeah.
Get up with a stiff knee.
Head Band-Aids.
Yes.
Older white guys, we're very crepey. Like, you know what I mean? So something inevitably tears.
Yeah.
And so whenever that might happen to me, I avoid the Band-Aid however I can. I will say that I had spent some time in Vegas with Roan.
Oh, I'm going to Vegas this weekend.
Roan's a very good vibe.
You know why I like Roan? Because Roan has a very cheeky, very mischievous side to him.
Yeah.
And I think we have that in common. I like the calmness, but at the same time, I very much enjoy when things go a little bit awry.
Yeah.
I very much like when I'm attracted to people who are a little, they walk into a room and there's just that little question of,
Yep.
ooh, what might they say? They're in a mood now, or they look at you across the room with just that little wink of an eye.
Yeah.
And maybe someone said something, you know where they're going to go. I love crazy. There's no better quality to me in a person than unpredictability,
and I
in
think
a good way.
Roan keeps it together for the most part all the time, 24/7.
Yes, Queen.
So if he gets the
Preach,
opportunity
sis.
to make it a little less straight up and down, he doesn't have to be 6 o'clock when he's traveling. And that's not any kind of shadiness involving, stuff that he shouldn't be doing.
Well, it sounds like it
A
is.
little bit, yeah. But otherwise, but pure vibes.
Pure vibes.
That fucking guy, like we were doing
Robbie Fox vibes.
Robbie Fox is another one. And again, like Robbie, I used to travel with for Rough and Rowdy quite a bit.
Yeah, he always
Robbie,
got those hookers, which is so crazy.
he's such a hooker guy. Not
You
a
just
lot of
didn't
people know
expect
them.
it
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Robbie.
I hope it slows down now that he's becoming an
I
honest
know,
man, but
and
I
you
doubt
just-
it. You don't
you-
turn that off.
You don't
turn
it's
that
a-
spigot off.
It's one of those things, a zebra don't change his stripes. And
Yeah.
I have to talk. Eventually, I'm going to have to talk to the fiance.
Who haven't you traveled with? Like I could tell you,
Banowitz.
Caroline.
She'd be easy to travel with.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I haven't traveled with Gia. I haven't traveled.
Travel with Gia.
Have you?
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, as long as you don't talk politics.
Oh, really? There's no- Yeah. Oh, Vibsy. I love. So I
Vibs
haven't
is
done
easy.
too much travel with Vibs, but every time I always have a good relationship with Vibs because we do Twisted History together, and I consider Vibs to be like one of those. I don't know. I respect his opinion. I find him to be hilarious. I beg what
He's got
Vibs
a good
rapes.
laugh.
Yeah, Vibs, and and that's another thing too. He's not one of those guys that tries to dominate conversations like you or anything. He's one of those dudes that sort of lets people
When
do
you
their
have a guest
thing.
on who kind of, goes around, you kind of just have to redirect things from time to time. Now we're cooking. The Vibs is great. I think the rules for traveling at Barstool Sports are don't overspend.
Yeah.
If you want to go out and have a drink, especially if you're at a work event, you can do that. Don't have a million drinks. Don't embarrass the company. Be where you're going. Be where you have to be on time is a big one. Believe it or not, I've traveled with people who are not on time to our event, or people who have no idea what's going on. And I also think remembering that you are on a work trip. Like, you can go out, you can have fun, but you can't be sloppy. There's nothing I hate more than traveling with someone who gets sloppy.
Yeah.
That's the worst fucking thing.
I'm trying to think of who's the sloppiest that I've been out with, but sometimes I do feel one of the guys I used to work with on Wall
is
Street.
good.
I
Who's the
basically
sloppiest you've been
I had
out?
to like carry him back to his room every
Yeah.
night. Like that whole deal.
I think I've gotten sloppy one time, and it was for a morning Christmas party that we had on Barstool Breakfast.
Yeah, you were bad that day.
That was the.
Did I put you in a car?
You put me in a car, and I woke up. We had a radio show from 7 to 9 p.m. We got blasted on this a.m. We got blasted on this show, and Large put me in a car. I went home. I woke up at 3 p.m. and I go, oh my God, I missed work.
Yeah, yeah. That was a tough one. Francis
was
did the whole
tough.
thing without a shirt on.
Oh, my God.
I was in prime drinking too, man. I was throwing him back like crazy. Oh, you know who should get some sort of honorable mention? Who's a lot of fun? You've done stuff with what the fuck's her name? Outdoors.
Sydney Wells is a
Sydney
blast.
Wells. I had Hannah stuck in my head. Sydney Wells is fucking awesome.
She's a blast. Who gets sloppy?
Who gets sloppy? Sometimes I get a little bit sloppy. I've been
Casey-
sloppy with Za. I've been
Zah
sloppy
gets
drunk.
sloppy as fuck.
Been sloppy drunk with Za, and I've loved it.
Casey Smith gets sloppy.
Yeah, me and Casey drank a lot of wine in Sonoma.
Megan Macon kind of got a little sloppy.
I don't know. I've never been out.
I will say, actually, that's a lie. One of the sloppiest I ever got was at the Barstool outdoor show. What was it? Surviving Barstool?
Right.
Or no, Barstool Outdoors, whatever the hell it was. Remember we went and lived in Colorado in some tents?
Oh, yeah.
Motherfucking Roan. We were at the bar. It was me and Dana drinking, and they had this thing called a Workman's Special, which I loved. It was like a shot of whiskey. We're in high altitude and a beer for like $6, and I had like 9 of them.
Like Wild Turkey and a Miller Genuine Draft.
And I ended up the bartender. I was like stumbling around. The bartender's like, "Are you all right?" And I just turn and I look at the bartender, and I slowly pull my pants down and moon him, and I go, Does that answer your question? And I walk out.
But you relish when people get ahead of themselves.
Oh it's my favorite thing in the world.
And so
if they're not annoying about it.
I was overserved before dinner at Emilio's, as you may or may not have known.
Right.
And so
that was on THC.
And you were goading me. You love to poke the bear.
Getting you drunk is my favorite thing.
And nobody's better than Devlin at capturing it.
Oh,
too,
my God.
like in the middle of it. And I know it seems like an easy thing to do, but there is an art to putting a phone in someone's face when they're making a fool out of themselves and not make them just immediately stop being a fool out of themselves.
Yes.
Like it was you and Devlin, and I probably said some stuff that shouldn't be on tape.
And I'm holding it over your head. I'm holding it over your head.
We have everybody has a group chat that they don't want anyone to ever see. Right?
Yep.
I mean, there are certain chats they don't want ever. I think that yours, I have a couple of Wall Street ones that are bad. Like, yeah, it's bad. But yours is
we're
too.
up there. We were brainstorming topics for this show.
Yeah,
buddy.
Goddamn.
I was thinking, how could I I've been trying for years to get Large fired from this company.
Oh.
How can I do it? And I was thinking about that group chat, but then I was scrolling through the things that I've said are equally as damning.
Oh, no, that's what I mean. Like, I will only commit to that group chat because I know that you usually start it.
Right.
And
because I know how to bait you.
Yeah, and
you
so then I'll
talk
go
about the
along.
rights of people other than men, and that'll get you going. I mean,
Right,
yeah. You talk about...
put jet ski on that list, too. Jet ski whenever we traveled, jet ski was good. That's why I do NASCAR now. Willie had backed out last minute because I think his wife got pregnant, perhaps. So he didn't come to Daytona with us.
Baby, get your mouthpiece. Remember when he used to say that?
Yeah,
oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And
so jet ski went with me, and Dave was down there, and Dave's like, "All right, see you guys for 20 minutes at the live show.
Yep.
I won't see you at the race. I won't see you at anything. I spent more time with Mr. Portnoy."
Yes.
And Uber driver Debbie.
Oh.
That weekend.
I remember her.
And then
rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace.
Yeah.
What a shocker.
That was terrible.
Yeah,
it was tough.
No.
Easy, Large. Easy.
Sorry.
The show doesn't get edited.
I apologize. But when we were down there, it was me, jet ski, just going around at night with our own golf cart in Daytona, and that's what got me hooked on NASCAR.
Give me your worst drinkers at Barstool, please. Can we do something that's clip-worthy here?
Dana, you know what? Dana's a good drinker. What I didn't like at Barstool is when they do these things where they automatically throw up. It seems like
I hate that.
It seems like there's just
forced.
It's the easiest thing in the world. Like saying, "Hey, can you have Large? Can you eat 2 pizzas?" Yeah, I can. If I could just go and take a couple of finger sandwiches and throw it all up at it. So that's one of the things that I've never liked. And when the Yak does the case race,
right.
I don't think I'm in that drinking shape anymore to do it.
I want to do one. I think like that would be fun.
If in our
I don't think
prime,
they would ever have me.
If in our prime, meaning I was 45.
That's just a couple years ago.
Yeah. And Willie and me and you. I don't know how many people are in the case race.
Also, being in your drinking prime at 45 is
no way.
fucking... Most people 20... Oh, man, when I was 23. You should have seen me when I was 45.
It just got so easy. Like, especially with our... Shout out our tours in Midland Park. It just got so easy to throw back clears. And they just didn't matter anymore.
They didn't. Well, nothing did.
And then everything caught up with me. And
you were searching for happiness at the bottom of a glass bottle.
Meanwhile, I have a great wife, great kids, but I still had that grudge.
Well, you were searching for something.
I was.
Yeah. And I think you found it in God.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. The in out and about.
In out and about.
Yeah. I would think that we would have done extremely well, and even the guests that we brought on, like when we used to bring on Mangold and whatnot.
Oh, he's a great drinker.
Those guys are Or you know who else are the probably collectively, if you were to pick a show that has the biggest drinkers, Barstool Breakfast original cast #1 with the bullet. Second was those dudes Hard Factor.
Oh my God, If you're listening,
those dudes could booze.
They were just so fucking huge.
Yeah, not as much Pat. Right. Like Pat didn't booze as Beef. He didn't booze much. But man, some of those other guys, boom, they would be able to. And I love those guys. I do. I used to do their show every now and again. I'm going to ask to do their show again because I really enjoyed them. And those guys would come up for like Oktoberfest and go to fucking town.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't think that PFT, who grew up with them, had that in his bag like those dudes did.
No.
They were a lot of
Not
fun.
At all. They were the best. I was going to say worst drinkers at Barstool, but
worst
I guess best drinkers at Barstool. Best in terms of, are we going best in terms of quality?
Yes.
Or best in terms of quantity, or best in terms of just like vibes and overall?
Who's
people
the best
you want
for the
to
drunk?
drink with?
Yeah. Like
I think Dana's obviously in there.
He's synonymous with it. And
I've had fun with me and Dana. Don't like. It's not that we don't get along. We just never really like worked together. It was weird on reality shows a couple times. When I drank with Dana, all I wanted to do was continue to drink with Dana. He was a blast. Eddie's a blast. You're a blast. Zah's a blast, although he can be a little bit like you have to babysit him a little bit sometimes. Feidelberg is a blast. I'm trying to think who else. Nick Tarani, because he doesn't like to drink, and there's nothing I love more than getting someone who doesn't like to drink drunk.
I've never drank with Big Cat.
Big Cat will be fun. I've never drank with him.
I've had a couple of dinners with him, but I've never had like a booze night with him. I've had a couple of drinks with Barstool Chief. Also.
Oh, he's a blast to drink with.
He's so fucking great.
Yeah.
I think, and obviously he's a big Notre Dame fan. We got a lot in common. I could talk with Barstool Chief for hours. And also like around a couple of drinks, he's one of those dudes. I'm trying to think everybody in this company.
Roan is fun to drink with.
Roan.
Francis has what I have, which is when you start drinking, the hangover ruins the drinking. Like I'm at the age now where I can't even. Yeah. The thought of going out is not exciting to me because the hangover ruins that. I
don't know if Francis likes to get out of control either.
No.
Like some people.
He loves when I drink. Oh my God, does he love when I drink?
Right. He had hit me the other day because I put him on the list. Yeah. Of whatever Roan had done with me. I'm going to pull it up right now.
People whose cut of the jib you like here at Barstool.
Yes. And so I had included Francis, and he had sent back to me, "Thank you for the kind words." This is what he said to me. "Thank you for the kind words, my friend. I'm sorry I don't get to spend as much time with you and Annie anymore. Life's been a little bit hectic, but I want you to know I love and respect you, you and yours, and that'll never diminish. You're a great man. You mean a lot to me." That's what Francis said. So I sent back, "New phone, who dis?" Like, you know what I mean? And so I got it. But me and Francis are, but I don't consider Francis a drinking buddy.
No.
Because it's just not his thing. I consider Francis, let's go to the fucking greatest restaurant you ever saw. Let's open up a bottle of wine we have no business drinking, and let's just enjoy each other.
Wonton Don is a great drinker. One of the drunkest I've ever been in my life was on a Northeast regional train guy from Penn Station to Massachusetts. It was me, the Wonton Don, and Smitty. And I had 9 blue moons, and I was stood up and I fell over. I was cross-eyed. He's a blast to
He
drink.
does not waste, and he's the anti-me too. I almost said antithesis again. If he goes on a trip with you, he's like, we're in Mexico City. He's like, Lars, let's go to this place. They serve lion. Like, I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't mind a lion taco or something like that.
Lion taco.
And went from right there to this to that. Like, he was banging. I just had to bow out. I was like, I can't do this. Like, it was the exact opposite. But all fun shit that you'd want to be involved with. It wasn't weird at all. I've had a couple of drinks with Kate. She's wonderful.
I was gonna say Kate is
starts
great.
To rip some darts, I think, when she has a couple
most
in them.
fun. I'm gonna be in Vegas. By the way, we're doing a party at UNLV. Check the socials. I'm gonna be here in 3 days. I'll be at the bar in Vegas. I had signed up Kate to go to the trip without telling her, and not only did I just sign her up, she has 2 kids and a baby daddy. Put a ring on it, beef. And I signed her up, and then I followed up in an email being Kate said she's very excited.
Oh, they were like, so she going to Vegas with you?
No. Oh, okay. She's like, absolutely not. I think she told herself for a day she was going to go to Vegas, and then she didn't. She's fun to drink with.
I was almost on that trip, and then I canceled another trip. So they were like, oh, wait till you get because my schedule sometimes gets weird. So, but now my schedule's not going to be weird because NASCAR is ending. So I could have went to that trip. So I have a little bit of regret there, but we always have another one.
Of course. I think you learn a lot about people when you go out drinking with them, especially at work. And I don't think there's that much of a difference in the way that people drink from here to other jobs that I've had. Like, I used to work at this company called fucking Meditech in Norwood, Mass. And we would go out for like business lunches.
Right.
People would get so drunk when we would go out for lunches, almost more than here. Because if you're drinking on a lunch in corporate America, you're trying to escape something.
Yeah.
People aren't really trying to escape something here.
I haven't seen the level of alcoholism that I saw in finance here. Like, I know people here enjoy a drink and do that stuff, but when I used to go out with guys, or even, like, there was a guy, he had, for some reason, booth space in the balcony on the American Stock Exchange. He had an empty booth behind him where he'd always have a couple of shot glasses. Yeah. And so somebody could just go behind, grab a quick snoot, or do like a little bit.
How prevalent was cocaine while you were working? Were people doing it on the floor of the American New York Stock Exchange?
Not on the floor. So the New York and the American Stock Exchange are 2 different things. The New York held itself to a much higher standard, and it came through. So there wasn't as much tomfoolery, I will call it. But on the American Stock Exchange, it was never like no one was like handing a bag around on the floor while they were trading, but there was always people who came in who were absolutely a bag of tits, and then all of a sudden a quick trip to the men's room and they're bouncing off the fucking walls.
Would you say what % of people on the American Stock Exchange would you say were using cocaine back in the day while you were there?
I would say maybe anywhere from 90 to no. I would. I'm just joking. So I am not so old that it was one of those things where it was like a very, very high number. We were already starting to get more into our like a booze phase, but I would say it was a good 50-50. A good 50. And by the way, if you say 50-50 here at Barstool, that means 60 out of 120 people are doing it. I'm talking about being on a floor where there's 3,500 people and knowing that there is
on a daily basis, 50% of them.
Daily basis, I would say more than once a week. Like, you know what I mean? As opposed to a daily basis. There were guys, I'd gone golfing with a guy I picked him up at 5:30 a.m. I worked on the floor with him. He was at my wedding. And he got we were playing the early bird back nine at some golf course. On the way to the golf course, he's like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to wake up. Reaches into the bag and takes a couple of bumps. Lord, you want some? I'm like, I'm good. Like, I got some sleep.
I'm good.
He gets up to the first tee. He's like, I'm a little jittery. If you don't mind, I'm going to take the edge off, take your practice swings, and he lights up a joint. And so he's like, you want to hit this? I'm like, no, that wouldn't help my game or anything. And when I used to play golf, I'd had a couple of beers on the course. So that's about it. And then we tee off where on the first green or about to go on the first green, he's like, all right, now we can kind of relax. He takes 2 Foster's oil cans out of his bag.
Oh, yeah.
Piss warm. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it, right? Because it's the only thing that I'm going to take off the menu for today. So I did know a lot of guys who were hardcore drug addicts and functioning alcoholics, but I would say that probably went around 50-50.
And no one ever was reprimanded for this?
No, I've never seen anyone like...
No.
No.
Yeah, quite the opposite.
I've seen people or instances where people who were about to be reprimanded for their drug use then say, you're going to reprimand me? You had me get a bag for you a couple of weeks ago and I still have it on text message. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like you had to be very, very selective with what with who you trusted there.
What's the most trouble you've ever been in at work? So my
SEC investigation, when they were investigating me, and I can't do too much about it because I signed an NDA. That was
break it. Fuck it.
That was a scary time for me because when the lawyers had told me, the maximum. Yeah, they always tell you the maximum was like so many millions of dollars in fine or a year and a half or something in regular prison. And I was like, I can't go to prison.
No.
2.5 years.
You get the softest hands at Barstool.
Oh, I do. I really do. So that was one of those things where, and again, like I've had people get laid off here and they're like, what am I going to do? I was like, you go home, you drink vodka in the shower and cry, and then you fucking pull yourself up and let's go at it. But I would say when I had gotten that mark on my record, it didn't mean anything to people who were in the business and knew what it was about and knew that I would eventually be cleared. But when I say eventually, I didn't get cleared of those charges until I think I was like on Barstool Breakfast. And I'd come in and Patty was like, all right, so the news today, somebody did this, somebody did that. I'm like, the news today is large as a free man.
How long was the investigation?
Free at last, 4 years, something like that.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What about just like a daily behavioral hijinks reprimand?
So I could tell you, I've had a couple of errors when I was trading. I had an error on the IPO, I think it was Rambus. My buddy Higgy would know better, but we had one and I had an error on the count. This was real trading, Patty. It's like I was a front row clerk in the super booth for JP Morgan. So they're coming in, they're just throwing numbers at me. And the guy who runs the desk, where are we at this price? And I'd be like, we have an imbalance of $2.4 million for sale. What about this price? It flips over.
By the way, if you're lost listening to this,
no, but I'm just saying they're throwing around all these things. So
yeah.
I'm giving him all this stuff on the fly. He's like, fuck it, then print it there. How much am I long? I'm long this. And then all of a sudden it comes up, winds up we're long an extra $300,000. I'm like, your asshole tightens up a little, but you look at the stock and it's $1.50 higher. So you just made $500,000 on an error.
All right, one more quick break for our interview with Lodge to talk talk to you about Stella Blue Coffee because it is coffee with a purpose. Our motto is we brew to rescue because every purchase helps homeless pets find their forever home. Over the last 3 years, Stella Blue Coffee has helped raise over $200,000 to our animal shelter network, all thanks to the many people switching to Stella Blue Coffee. And here's the thing. It's not just about the mission. The coffee itself is seriously good. We have it here at Barstool. People love it. Stella Blue's coffee deliciously roasts are available in cold brew, K-cups, ground and whole bean formats to seamlessly fit into your morning coffee routine. They got it all at Stella Blue, and we love them. And the fall flavors are back. You got butter cookie, you got apple crumb cake, and you got maple pumpkin pie. Go to StellaBlueCoffee.com and use promo code OUTANDABOUT for 20% off orders $25 or more. Stock up. It's fall. Get yourself some delicious fall flavors. StellaBlueCoffee.com. Use promo code OUTANDABOUT for 20% off orders of $25 or more. Grab some Stella Blue Coffee, taste the difference, and make a difference. Now back to our interview with Lodge.
That's the scariest thing in the world to me because it could just as easy. And then I did it when Google was reporting today also. Some guy was leaving. I checked out. I had his pad just for the last half hour of the day. Google was reporting after the bell. Somehow my fucking counts are wrong, and we wound up making an inordinate amount of money on a fucking error.
And when you execute a trade, you get a piece of that?
No. I was salary bonus. So I would go to them and be like, hey, listen, utilities did $9 million in commissions last year. This year we did $16 million. I lost $3 million trading, so we netted out $13 million versus the $9 million. So I'm definitely getting paid whatever my, directors made $200,000 a year, managing directors made $250,000, and that was it. Nobody made over $250,000 a year.
But then your bonus is $3 million.
But the bonuses would be $3. Yes, exactly it.
Yeah.
Like there were guys there who were making. Like there were guys there who were like robbing Peter to pay Paul until that fucking bonus check came in because they were living the lifestyle of somebody that made $3 million a year,
right,
but with only a check for $250,000 a year coming in until they got that whopping fucking bonus.
I remember a buddy of mine. I don't think you've ever met him. I remember when we graduated, he was one of my only friends who like tried in school and was smart. He was a good guy, played lacrosse, went to UConn. And I remember he took a job in finance. I graduated high school in 2011. College in 2011. So he got his first job at Moody's.
Okay.
And I remember everyone's like, oh, all my idiot friends, oh, you're going to be working so much. I think his initial offer was like $89,000, which was a fuck ton of money at the time. And it's still, a lot of money now, especially living in New York. And I remember as the years went on, he was working more and more and more. And people would shit on him. You're working so much. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you fucking idiots.
Right.
When we're 40, he's going to be able to retire and you'll just be getting enough money in your 401k to start thinking about what the next 20 years will look like. But he's the same thing. His salary was a certain thing. And then his bonus, I remember him being like, I was like, I don't even want to say his name. I was like, what's your bonus? He goes, you want to know my bonus? I was like, yeah. And he told me and I almost threw up.
Yeah.
He's like, but then again, I'm working 80, 90 hours a week. And you have kids. You have 3 kids. What would you say to them if they wanted to go into finance? Would you be all about it? Finance
changed so much nowadays. I don't even know what to tell kids who are going into finance, regardless of the fact. So, and plus, I was never a traditional finance guy. I was a trader. Yep. Like I was. So if my son was saying, I want to be an equity analyst, I want to go into a company and count up all the staplers they have and every burger that they sell and offset this and decide this is what this stock is worth. So buy, sell, or hold. If they want to do that. Yeah, sounds I guess. I have no fucking clue. Like, I used equity analyst stuff all the time. It was one of those things that I used to kind of sell to people to make trades with me. I was never, in iBanking. I was never any of that. The business has changed here at Barstool so much, trying to operate at Barstool over the last 7 years. You know what finance has done in the last 7 years? I have no fucking clue. So I don't know what to tell them. I do know that there are kids who are dropping dead from working 80 hours a week because...
I thought you were going to say the jab.
Yeah, no, but there are a lot of people who are, they do work these kids, these investment bankers, absolutely to the bone. And some of them walk away with gigantic houses in the Hamptons and huge bonuses, but a lot of them don't. So I don't know how to protect my kids against that. My kids don't want to enter mine and my wife's old field because they know that the place where we had started no longer exists. Like the New York Stock Exchange now is probably the coolest catering hall in New York City. But if I brought you down there in the height of it, and some of the guys who are still down there, I was down there for an IPO last year. So all my familiar faces are the guys who are still down there. Patty Casey, Tommy Bent, all these dudes.
Sure.
Kasalakis, yeah.
I remember
Cass. And they would tell you too, like Rico's doing this dirty jobs thing, like the Mike Rowe thing. If when me and his dad were working down there and Rico was to come down with a camera crew to do that, we would have ran him through the fucking ringer. And it just doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know. I don't know what to do.
What do you think about the return to office? This is like businessy, I know, but JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon said everyone has to be returned to office 5 days a week. Do you think that's important for younger kids entering the workforce now? And even here at Barstool, do you think people should be required to come in 5 days a week to build that camaraderie and just have that experience?
I don't think I should.
Yeah.
But I think everyone... No, but I do. I think it's important. I think
Would you institute a 5-day work week here at Barstool or a 4-day work week?
Yeah, I think there's
office.
There's an unspoken 4-day work week already, and all around the place. Like there are people, myself included, where I sometimes can't get work done here, particularly if I want to write.
Right.
I can't write here. Like you're a guy who can put on headphones and hit a couch, and you can write a blog while you're talking to me. I don't have that in my bag.
Right.
I don't. Like, and then when I'm home, I need to be away in an office, like in the side office. So if I do go and write while I'm at home, I am actually writing or watching races that I missed over the weekend, or researching boxers, or researching all these kind of things. So I do think that there is some benefit to doing stuff from home, but in general, get your ass in. I mean, that's at our industry, you have the best chance of being creative when you're around other creative people. Again, like I don't know if Barstool is right for, name somebody young, Sydney, because we mentioned her. I don't know if Barstool is going to be right for Sydney in 10 years. But where I am right now in my career, at the end of what was a career and at the beginning of this one, Barstool's correct for me. So I'll do whatever the fuck they want to say. But the balance of me being home and at work right now works for me. Corporate America, I think you have to be there. I think you have to be there to see. And if you're not trading in an office where, fuck you,
right,
sold to you, all that kind of stuff, that made me. That made me, the trader that I was, which is kind of mediocre. And you got to see the people that I traded with. Like when we went down to Georgia and met Kathy, who you were fascinated with.
Oh, my God.
Kath. You guys may hate this episode about and about.
No,
I will tell you, this guy right here has a fascination with old school New York and old school Wall Street. So
especially
any kind
ladies.
of stories from that, when I introduce him to people who are big personalities from corporate America, you fucking love it.
I can't get enough.
And it's the only time he shuts up. You are a fly on the wall. You love to fucking have people.
And I'll look at Large introduced me to this lady, Kathy. She walked in.
She's the best.
She's probably 120 pounds. 110 of it was her jewelry. She walked in. She goes, "How you doing, Large?" I was like, first of all, you sound like a man. You look even better.
Yeah.
It was everything I want in a person. I like people who, when they meet you, will tell you their family drama.
Yeah.
Like I like people who really open up right away, but not in public. They'll be like, "Can you believe this?"
Yeah,
They'll kind of pull you to the side. That's everyone who you worked with on Wall Street.
Everything was way out. And you would love how everybody busted everyone's chops. I don't think we'll ever have that again.
Do you think they'd hurl homophobic slurs at me?
They would hurl homophobic slurs. Well, I don't know how you would get away with it. Yeah. Like do you want me to tell a story or no?
Yeah, of course.
I just told this story, I think, on Rowan's, I think. No, where the hell did I tell it? So we had a female broker on the floor of the American Stock Exchange. She was brand new, and she worked for a big house like Morgan Stanley. And it was her first day. Came out on her badge. It's the American Stock Exchange, right? The smaller one. And we had Wang and Wang B. Remember Wang, the two
I remember
things?
this.
Do you remember the story?
I remember this.
Yeah. So, Dan, do you want me to tell again?
Yeah, give us the we're running. Give us the elevator pitch of this.
Yeah, so Danny used to have this gigantic dildo he called Junior. So if you fell asleep in the members lounge, he'd take a picture with an old disposable camera of
classic
Junior,
prank.
Yeah, Junior on your face.
Yeah.
And then like every month or so he'd develop the film, and then you go around, there's a picture of Pat with a dick on his face, picture of Large asleep with a dick on his face. So Danny was the specialist in Wang. And they had this girl go out there and try and find out what was going on in Wang, and everybody was blocking her out. And she gets to the front. She's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "It's an 858, 100 by 250," and it goes back to the fucking phone. Buy 500,000 shares. She comes back in. It's moved. The market has moved higher. So she goes back to the thing. She's like, "It's no longer there. Take it at the market." She goes, takes it at the market, buys 500,000 shares. It's a huge fucking stock, huge crowd around it. People are boxing her out. She gets back to the phone. "I bought 500,000 shares." Guy says, "What the fuck? That should have been a sell order, you idiot. Go out and sell fucking $1 million now. You have to sell your error and 500,000. She sells it. It winds up that the stock had moved to the point where she had lost a lot of money, but when she gets back to the phone, they're like, "What's the look?" And she's like, "What?" So, "Well, who's doing what to who?" And she's like, "I don't understand. Go in and ask for a look in the fucking stock." She gets all the way back up to the top. She's like, "I need a good-looking Wang. I need a good-looking Wang." And then finally everything stops. Danny opens his jacket. Out falls Junior. That's a good-looking Wang. Everyone starts laughing. 50 guys are in on the joke. Not a single share traded.
My God.
Not a single share traded. She didn't lose a fucking dollar. And this is a stock exchange.
Unbelievable.
And everyone just was like, "Ha!" Like that mad, that angry laugh. Like, "I resent that you're a woman," like all that stuff. And I think about if that was to happen nowadays, people would be fired and there would be fucking stories about it on the front page of the news. But the stock exchange, it didn't matter. Like, you were able to bust people's balls because of how they looked, about how they did it, and everyone just kind of rolled with it and just gave it back. And if you didn't give it back, you never had a career on the floor exchange.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, you would have loved it. You would have fucking loved it.
I don't know if I can do the math.
Yeah, math would be tough with you.
As with the reading and the sign language, everything except the math.
Outside of that,
I'm sure I'd be good at like schmoozing.
Yeah.
And
no, absolutely. I think it would have worked out in your favor. If you weren't doing this right now, this ends tomorrow. What are you doing?
Probably hang myself.
Really? Is that it? But that's
now if this
because you'd ask me my advice for people, and I do tell people to think about it all the time. And everybody I ask, no one has an idea of what they're going to do afterwards.
I have no idea. I'm so grateful and so blessed to have this job and just be able to sit down and talk to everyone, talk to all of our fans, be able to listen. And one of the things that this will be your one compliment throughout the show. One of the things that I admire about Large is obviously the work ethic, but you're a grinder. And I think it took, you have your own studio now. You've been here, 7 years?
Yeah.
There are certain things you do that are more successful than others. I'm still looking for that for me. And you've grinded to the point where you're bringing in enough money and the shows have enough success that you have your own studio. And I don't think that should be overlooked here at Barstool, because I think a lot of times if people record something or they do something and you get a mean comment or you get a little bit in your head, your tendency is to stop. And I don't think you never stopped. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a testament to the work ethic that was instilled to you in jobs that you've had.
Yeah.
Also, you can't stop because you have 3 kids.
So, 2 in college. Like, I have 2 in college, and then as soon as Mick gets out, I'm gonna have 2 kids in college for a while, and it's fucking killing me. So, and plus, my dad worked for a living. Yeah. Like, this is bullshit.
But and I think you appreciate that it's bullshit in that way, and I genuinely admire the fact that you've stuck through it and you have your own studio and things are going well because you're one of the people who deserve it.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Things weren't just falling into your lap, and it is what it is. I do still think that you're a scumbag.
I'm definitely a scumbag. Yeah. I will tell you, getting in the studio and whatnot, people, there's no animosity towards anybody, or at least not to my face, but I think it's just one of those things that when it makes sense, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because these are fine. These studios are fine, but once you start to get like some sort of consistent...
And make no mistake, I'll be doing everything in my power to get that taken.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Everything in my power. I'm talking, I have 10 years of text from you.
I know. We've had, and I think I appreciate you keeping those under wraps, at least for now. But when you finally write the book,
they're rolling on the screen now.
Yes, exactly. But I'm right back at you. But you're like, what can you take from me? I have nothing.
I have nothing. That's the thing. It's like, okay, sue me. Go ahead, sue me. Go ahead. Yeah. What are you gonna take? I could really, I'd like that car. I might take your wife.
Yes, exactly.
Turn you in for the old young buck.
Right. Every time I get a new car, for some reason, you're in it. You've been in like every one of the cars I've owned.
It's the best because you have what you have. I'm such a simple man that all it takes a little bit of acceleration and some sketchy braking. Yeah. And I'm in tears. I was in tears on our ride home.
We rented a car in Alabama. We rented a.
Oh my God, that was the most fun.
Pickup truck. We went right. So we didn't even check into the hotel. We went right to the gun shop.
Correct.
And where
we saw an old feller down there.
So we went to the rifle, and there were rifles there that if I'm not saying we did this, but if you wanted to, you could buy a rifle for $100.
And again, not saying we did this, but if we did, and we threw it in the lake after,
$135.98, you could get a rifle, some fucking ammo, and just go around and blast trees with it, and then just throw the rifle.
We did.
Just throw the rifle away. It was disposable. Well, while you're in this hypothetical gun shop, one of your friends could pick up a fucking flamethrower, and it winds up it was California compliant.
Right. There was a guy.
We almost bought a flamethrower.
We almost bought a flamethrower. It was like $200. I was like, "What's California compliant mean?" He goes, means it's California compliant.
Yeah, it means it's compliant in California. He said he just gave you a little fucking twist up. And it was me, you, and Ian.
Yeah, he
a
goes,
good guy.
Smells like queer in here, boy. And I said, that's right, motherfucker. You turn your head the other way before I turn your sister's head back this way.
Yes, definitely.
That's the truth. We've had a lot of fun traveling. Check out Rubbin' Is Racing. Also, I don't even care if you check out Rubbin' Is Racing, if we're being honest. Go to an actual NASCAR event.
Yeah, you'll never watch NASCAR if you don't go see it live
It's
first.
the most... I've had so many opportunities to go great places with this company. NASCAR is by far one of the most fun things. It's the most fun I've ever had traveling for the company. Daytona is a blast. We've done that 5 times. Talladega. Remember Talladega?
Yeah.
Them titties that she pulled out. I go,
those.
let's take a picture. She goes, all right, 1 second.
The boulevard.
Yeah, she pulled out her tatas, which were, I believe those were sweater puppies.
They were
They
sweater
might have been
puppies.
bolt-ons, maybe a combination of the two.
Talladega, I remember that now.
Bristol, Tennessee was unbelievable. One of the hardest I've ever laughed was driving that minivan. We had 1 mile to empty, and I hit this lip in a minivan. We were airborne. There was about 700 pounds of man in that car.
And that's the other thing. Patty can get you in fucking trouble. So if I didn't readily put him on my top 5 to travel with, that's because he loves to dance on the edge in a rental car. You love to give it back absolutely empty and know a lot worse for wear. You fucking grind the gears.
But I'm safe.
What?
I'm safe.
We went airborne in a fucking Toyota Sienna, maybe? Is that what the fuck it was?
It was a LX Sienna.
Yeah,
so that's not the DX.
And I'm telling you, coughing on fumes. Oh, we're gonna make it another. We rolled into.
I pulled over. I had put $2 worth of gas in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes overserved, right? And for not necessarily the driver, I'm saying, but open
people
containers like you read about. And Patty is one of the more dangerous guys.
Well, here's the thing.
Do it.
This country was built on freedom.
Yes.
And I think what we have a duty to do here when I have a platform is just kind of remind people that we value that and we cherish it, and 2A protects 1A.
Yes.
And I think that's why it's important that we end the show now.
Yeah.
before you get in too much trouble.
Absolutely.
Listen, I love you all. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you to Large for coming on. It was a Barstool-heavy episode, but we're ingraining ourselves back into the Barstool culture here. It was a weird 3 months where I didn't have a leg, but look at me now. The haters are sick. So we're just going to keep cooking. We're going to keep riding. I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend. Come check me out with Tommy Smokes and cousin producer Za at UNLV. It's called I think it's called The Stadium, WX something, the bar, but it's not at the stadium. It's across the street. That's it. Large, what do you got going on? When's your show?
You got to try this. We got Andrew Zimmern coming in next week. He's good.
That's George Zimmerman's.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Right.
That's a deep cut.
It's alias. We've had a lot of. We've been lucky enough to get a lot of pretty good guests, and then we also have guys from. You did it. You did one of the first episodes with me
for sure.
Big Ev is on this week, and then Zimmern the following one. So you got to try this. That took off. The food stuff took off.
It's real. Finally, because you've been
fucking around with it for such a long time, and now Ian just kind of put a tent over that circus, and it seems like it's taken off. So we'll see what we can do with that too. Just making fucking profitable, franchises. That's what I do.
That's all it's about, is making profitable franchises.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Large. Thank you, everyone.
My
I'm going to be on the Out and About Social all weekend. We're going to go live for the whole party, so check that out. I love you. Goodbye.